handle the truth.
So Frank Depalma, you got into an incident when you were how old? How old were you when you got into this incident?
I was 18.
18 years old. Okay. And you had a dog, correct?
Yes.
And what kind of relationship did you have with this dog?
Well, it was my best friend. He was with me wherever I went. You know, he got me and I got him. You know, and he showed his loyalty to me a couple of times. You know, put his life on the line for me when we went camping one time up in Red Rock Canyon. And I was getting everything ready, and all of a sudden the hair on the back of his neck just stood up, and he just ran. He just took off, and I thought, but hey, he went up this thing over the cliff, and right above me, easy to get to me. Mm-hmm. There was a mountain lion. Mm-hmm. It was just, his tail was flicking, and it was looking at me. And like I said, I couldn't get away. Bud, man, he didn't bark one time, and that cat just went, pow, swiped at him. He got out of the way, and the cat took off. Mm-hmm. You know, but he ran right to it. You know, didn't say a word. And then another time, I got into a fight with this Mexican kid, and I whooped his ass pretty good. And that night, a pickup truck came up to where I live, and these guys get out. These Mexican guys. One guy's got a bat. And Bud, they were coming. One dude, I said, "You whoop my brother, man. I'll whoop your ass," you know. And it didn't make sense to me. We had a fight. That's all. Mm-hmm. And but this one guy came at me, and Bud, man, just boom, and got him on the shoulder, but he meant to get him on the neck. You know, he's going for the neck, and I had to pull him off. And these guys took off. Right. My father came out of the house. He goes, "What the hell?" And I said, you know, Bud, you know, just looking out for me. You know, he was all excited, but you know, I mean, that to me was all I needed. You know, he was a golden lab. You know,
I was gonna ask you what kind of dog he was. A short hair golden lab, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very loyal dogs. Yeah. So
yeah, he was.
How long was you with? What was the dog's name?
Bud.
How long was you with Bud?
Yeah. Well, he picked it because I would ask him, you know, when he's a puppy, I'd tell him, all right, you know, how about this one? And he would just look at me. And one day I said, "Hey, listen here, buddy." And he barked. I said, "What are you talking about, buddy?" And he barked again. I said, "What are you talking about?" He didn't say nothing. Mm-hmm. When I said buddy or Bud, he barked. Mm-hmm. I said, "Okay, you got it.
That's what it is.
Bud it is." And he barked again. Yeah. And he's always been Bud. That was his name. He chose it as far as I'm concerned.
So how old was you when that happened? When Bud was a puppy?
Gosh, he was like 5 years old. So, God, he was still young, man. But yeah, 5 years old. So 5 years.
So about 13 years old.
Yeah. We'd moved out to Las Vegas, Nevada at the time, you know, and to get it because I was becoming more aggressive, I guess you could say. A lot of fights in school. Once I stopped running, I didn't take shit from nobody. You know, I didn't accept any bullshit from anybody. You want to whoop my ass, you can whoop it, but you're gonna have to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I did. You know, and so my family got concerned because they found a switchblade in my dresser drawer. And I never thought of using it. I just like to play with it, right?
Yeah.
And I actually found it. You know, it was a good one, but you know, they were afraid. You know, and plus my asthma was the doctor said you got to find a drier climate. He's not gonna make it till his 18th birthday.
It's kind of like Where the Red Fern Grows. You ever read that book?
No, I've heard of it though.
Where the Red Fern Grows is a small boy that he had a kind of turbulent childhood or whatnot, and he traveled. He saved up his little pennies or whatnot and traveled to go get two bloodhound puppies, one boy, one female, right? One boy, one girl. And it's just a story of him and the adventures of his puppies. And then, of course, they died in the end. And when one died, the other one died shortly behind it. And then Fern grew up, where the dogs died at, where the red fern grows. So,
all right.
And I say that because you kind of have grown an affinity with this dog. Like you say, this was your best friend. You guys went on adventures together and he protected you and things of this nature. And then one day, what happens?
Well, it was the beginning of the year. I think it was either before Christmas or just after Christmas. I think it was before. I'm sitting out. It was kind of chilly out and everything, but it was a weekend, and Bud and the other neighborhood dogs and some of the kids, they're playing in the yards, but the dogs are playing in the streets, play fighting and all that, just having fun. And I knew the sound. There was a guy that lived in our neighborhood that would drive his truck or his car real fast around the corners and stuff. And people complained to him. And when he didn't give a shit, they called the cops saying that he's going to kill a kid or something. But the cops said they really couldn't do anything unless they caught him, So they would, knock on his door and tell him, hey, Bubba, we're getting complaints. And, okay, yeah. But nothing was ever done. So this day, dogs are out there playing, and I know that truck because he's always working on the engine. It's got a little beefy sound.
Mm-hmm.
And here he comes. I see him. He comes around the corner. He's coming, and the dogs break and run. But Bud, and he always breaks and runs when any car comes around, but he just looked at the truck. And I said, Bud, because he's getting close, and he looks at me. And when he turns, it's too late. And so, for a long time, I wondered if I got him killed because I called him, and that wore off my head. It just tore me up. Mm-hmm. But I don't think so. It was a bad situation. And he hit my dog. My dog went flying in the air and landed. I ran over to him, and he died in my arms right there, But he was alive when I grabbed him. So he knows that I was there. Mm. But this guy didn't even slow down. Just kept going. And I'm a real emotional, sensitive kind of guy. Always have been. I just had an emotional break. There's my dog lying. And this guy didn't even slow down. And I just took off and ran up to the street. He lived straight shot up. I don't know how far it was. Good ways. But I'm banging on his door and tell him, come out here, man. I got something for you. You want to kill my dog. And but he wouldn't answer the door. And I noticed the truck was all askew in the driveway. The door was open, the driver's door. And I saw a rope, like a braided thing, hanging down. And I said, okay, I'll get in, and I got in the truck. Closed the door, started up, backed out, and drove it all the way around the block. I got down to where I live.
Oh, the braided thing was the keychain.
Yeah, and yeah.
So you knew the keys were in the truck.
Yeah. And I got down to where I lived. Like I said, a straight shot, and I floored it and honked the horn all the way up there. I don't want anybody coming in the streets. And by the time I got to where he lives, I was going pretty quick, and but I didn't think about the curb. The truck hit it, and it went airborne, but it started to tip. Mm-hmm. And the back of the, pretty much the side was kind of like sideways, went through the picture window of the front of the house, went through the living room, through the closet, into the master bedroom, and halfway outside the back door. I was knocked out.
You took a chunk out of the house. You took a chunk out of the house.
Oh yeah. I hurt that house, and I hurt myself too. But I was just knocked out and came to, and I crawled out. But the cops were there, and they were yelling, come out again. We're not gonna keep telling you. That's the first time I heard it. So I said, I'm here, and I saw my dad, and I told him, Dad, don't put my dog in a hole in the ground. Put him in a real cemetery, a dog cemetery, and he did. I appreciated that. And so they arrested me. I had a whole slew of charges. But can't think of the lawyer. Oh, Harry Claiborne. Family got together and got me a good lawyer. He was a real good lawyer. And he worked out a deal to where they drop all the charges. I would plead guilty to grand theft auto for taking a truck. I would get a 10-year sentence. It would be suspended. I would have to serve 5 years probation. However, after 2.5 years of successful probation, I could petition the court and get my record expunged.
Mm-hmm.
All I had to do was apologize to the court, for what happened. Okay, I'm with that, So it was 19. I was wrong. I was wrong about that. I'm a year off. Yeah, what do you know? It was 1975 when I went to prison, March. It was a couple months.
It's the year I was born.
Is that right? Well, it was just a few months before May, which is May 28th is my birthday. So I was 18 when I got there, and a few months later I turned 19. And it was a year after that the storm hit, But so I'm in jail. I finally get bailed out. I got a good lawyer. I go to and they said, things, and the deal's made. So now I'm waiting on sentencing. Sentencing comes around. And the judge calls my docket, and I stand up, and he said, and he reads the charges, and he said, I understand there's been a plea agreement. I've read it. Is there anything you'd like to say before I pass sentence? And I said, yes, Your Honor. I'm aware of the stipulation and all that, and I meant it was in me to apologize. I was going to, but I started thinking about my dog, and I just, my heart just did what it did, man. And I said,
but the thing of it is that before you go off on the judge, right? The thing of it is that number one, you were taught, Frank, to retaliate, right? As we described earlier, you were taught to retaliate when you were wronged, when you felt wronged. And the thing of that is that you felt wronged in that manner.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day,
hurt my family.
You retaliated, right?
He hurt my family.
And your father taught you to retaliate at all means necessary. So when you were using the tools earlier, he taught you that it was okay, right? Yes. It was okay to use tools to attack. So now you're in the courtroom and you are expected to apologize for something that you don't feel sorry for. Because you felt that you were wrong. Like at the end of the day, like this dude killed my dog. You know what I mean? Like this dude killed.
I love
this
dude
that killed
dog.
My
that
brother.
Dog is my family.
This dude killed my brother, and now I got to sit here and apologize for what happened because I don't, So that is the context of why you are getting ready to go off on the judge. So please do.
But here's the thing. I didn't go off on a judge.
Okay.
I just spoke from my heart. I said, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my best friend is dead. And I'm sorry that the son of a bitch who killed him isn't standing here beside me facing murder charges. Mm-hmm. Now, I noticed people in the courtroom were looking at me, right? And I said, Your Honor, these people in the courtroom, they're hearing me, and they don't know that I'm talking about a dog. I said, that guy killed my best friend. I loved my dog. We were partners. and that son of a bitch took them from me. I said, now, the value of a human life over an animal's, that's apples and oranges, man. I said, but can you tell me that my intrinsic love for a child and my love for a dog is measured? I said, no, I just give my love to those who know how to claim it. Mm-hmm. I said, so that's the issue. I'm sorry that I wasn't man enough to find that son of a bitch and handle it myself, because he killed my best friend. I'm sorry.
And to speak on,
the judge got upset. The judge got upset, not me.
And to speak on that, right? I did a TikTok not too long ago, Frank, where there was a video of a motorcyclist where he was going down the road, and there was people it was a man and a wife, and then there was another guy up by the garage, and they were like working on their boat, right? They had their boat on the trailer there in the driveway, and they had their little dog by their feet. And as the motorcycle was coming, the dog ran out into the street and right in front of this motorcycle and dumped the motorcycle, right? So the guy dumps and he's rolling on the ground, and the people ran to the dog first. You know what I mean? The people ran by the man that was laying unconscious on the ground and went to the dog to make sure that the dog was okay. Then finally, once they saw that the dog was okay, they trickled over to the man as he's now starting to get up off the ground. But the thing of it is that the comments, because that kind of went viral, right? And the thing of it is the comments on that was 90% hey, that dog is my family. I know that dog. I don't know that person. You know what I mean? Exactly. That was the majority of. So just to reinforce for those who aren't dog owners or whatever and can't kind of relate to what it is that he's saying, like me, I'm not an animal lover to that sense. I love animals as living beings, but not to that sense, you know. Okay. But some people are. So you have been taught to retaliate. You have been taught to retaliate with tools at any means necessary. And you have been taught to retaliate when you've been hurt. And now you've been expected to apologize to this judge, but you've also been taught to be a man, right? And to speak your mind and to walk proud, you know, and let the chips fall where they may. So what happens now that the judge says this?
Well, he gets upset. He's the one who gets upset. And he says, I do not have to honor this plea agreement. It is up to me. He says, I am not honoring this plea agreement. And we can go back to step one, or I can sentence you on the charge. And I said, go ahead. And that's what he did. He said, I hereby sentence you on a charge of, grant 10 years in Nevada State Prison. Case, whatever he banged. He actually banged the gavel. Mm-hmm. And my dad was sitting there, and I just said, I don't know. And they let me out. And I heard my dad say, what the hell? And the lawyers, the lawyer was like trying to nudge me, I'm, like, shut up. But it just came out, and it came from my heart. So I don't have, people have said, man, that was stupid of you. And I said, yeah, well, my dog's up there saying, yeah, he didn't sell me out. And that's all that mattered to me.
Right. And this goes into what I was saying about people not understanding. People just think they're not going to understand, and they're going to call you.
That's on them.
That's on them.
That's on them. It's on them to learn, to come to understand. That's what I do in my life. Everything that I experience, I seek to understand it. And I think more people need to learn to. People say, well, you think too much, Frank. And I said, well, maybe you don't think enough. I've come to know myself very well. Someone asked me, would you change your life if you could? The whole thing. And as much as I hate and fear the memory and what it's done to me of all those years in there and what happened in solitary, how I disconnected, they haunt me horribly. And it's just since very recently that I couldn't answer that question. I honestly, I wasn't going to lie and say, yeah or no. I had to really, and then it was just recently, and I just tweeted about it just last night. I wouldn't change my life, because I became something I was never meant to be. And I have discovered, like, for example, when I went to, when I was transferred to NNCC, I was up in the psych ward, and it was pointed out to me. Someone said, you know, Frank, you're very altruistic, especially when it comes to these helpless people, defenseless people. There were some really sick people up there. They never got out for showers. They never got out for anything. They just medicated them. They had no electricity, no appliances. They was just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I started advocating for them, writing kites to the warden and saying, hey, these guys never get out for shower. They never get out for yard. They don't get commissary. They don't get their laundry done. Nobody's helping these people, and they need help. They're human beings. And I kept on. Guards were saying, hey, why don't you back off? We can send you back to Ely. We can find something in your cell. I told them, why don't you just give them showers and stuff, man? Give them what they got coming. You know, you can send me back to Ely. Go ahead. I don't care. You don't threaten me. And sooner or later, the warden said, hey, and he laid it out, man. They had to start complying. And they hated me for it because I broke the status quo. And these guys, these psych patients who, like I said, are really sick, they've thrown piss and stuff on me. And now let's ask any one of us, someone was to spit in my face, it's on.
Mm-hmm.
You throw shit in my face or pit? Come on, man. But it happened it's like when things didn't get done fast enough for them,
mm-hmm.
They took it out on me. You know? And we've experienced that with the guards, you know?
Yeah.
But whenever that happened, I would get mad and I'd run straight for the shower, turn them, put the coveralls on, all that, and just soap up and get a new pair of coveralls. And then one day, I'm walking down a tier, and one of the guys named Sonny, he was a Korean guy, really, really sick. He said, hey, Frank, come here. So I go down and I said, what's up, Sonny? He said, you a good friend. You a good friend, Frank. He said, if I were you, I would kill me. I throw piss and shit on you because you don't do nothing fast enough. You don't get the help. You're the only one that got a brain here. You can help us, you know, and you're too slow. And he said, but you know what? You're a good friend. You're a good friend. You never say nothing to me. And he said, you're not mad at me? I said, no, Sonny, we got enough people mad at us without being mad at each other. Right. And I was walking down the hallway and it hit me. I never wanted to hurt any one of those patients.
Okay.
I thought about that. Well, why? Why, if someone ordinarily, I would think to kill you. Mm-hmm. That's a serious offense to me. Why didn't I lose it with them? It's because, and I realize this, it's how I choose to process things in my head that makes my decisions. I've learned not to make a decision while I'm emotional because most times you're always going to regret that. But I never got angry or wanted to hurt any one of those psych patients because I knew that they weren't responsible. Hence, I didn't get mad at them.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, you know, I went through the same transition with these pedophiles as they were bringing these pedophiles in.
Yeah.
You know, and it went from, you know, just the transition for me to start to understand and realize that I wasn't doing God's work. I was taking my anger out on these people, you know what I mean? And things of that nature. And like in the sense of what you're just saying, that like these people are mentally impaired, you know, they can't help what they do. And when I started hearing, like, you know, because these people would plead for their life, you know, they would plead for themselves. And within them pleas, you're hearing these people sit here say, like, I can't help what I do, you know, and I'm sorry. and
Yeah.
I hate what I've done, and it all just starts to sound like a person that's addicted, or just
Yeah.
in complete uncontrol of themselves. And I think hearing that started making me question myself, like, what am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't me. This isn't who I want to be. And
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of parallel of what you were just sitting there describing, and it just made me reflect.
Well, and that's what made my decision, because I've had, even though I didn't realize it throughout, I've had glimpses of my true self.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I didn't really get to meet him until I got out. It's been a whole different story since I've been out, but I realized so much that, because, for the while I was in prison, especially in solitary, the first number of years, the first 6, 7 years, was fighting guards. But I was in an empty cell, and I had nothing to connect with. So I connected with me, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like you're walking down that road and you turn around to meet your enemy, and you see yourself standing there. Well, there's another step after that. You face yourself. Now you got to step inside yourself and
That's
begin
right.
a journey that never ends. I'm still on it. Uh,
Well, we're going to
but
get into the solitary part.
yeah,
That's going to be an episode completely on itself. But going back to you getting your 10 years now, you being let out of the courtroom, and you're like, what the hell? So what happens from
exactly.
there? You're 18 years
I
old.
get
You just
taken
got
back.
10 years in a Nevada
Right.
state prison.
I get taken back to my cell, and I wait about an hour, and I ask the deck guard if I can get the phone. And he said, get on the list, So I get on the list, and I'm waiting. Finally, I get the phone, and I call home, and my dad answers the phone. He said, what the hell? I said,
Mhm.
I don't know what happened, Pop. I didn't curse or anything. Well, I said I did, but I wasn't cursing at the judge. It just came out, Pop. He said, but now you're going to prison. I said, I don't know what to say. He said, you should have said what you're supposed to say. I said, well, I guess I did, because my heart spoke, Pop. And
Right.
I'm not sorry. And I'll do this 10. I got to do 2 years, then I go to parole board. And a couple months after that, I'll be out, you know, uh, you know, uh, well, we talked a while longer, then I had to hang up. And it was like 3 o'clock the next morning when there's a flashlight in my eyes, and the guard said, hey, Depalma, wake up. Huh? And he said, take your personal belongings, limited to legal mail, and let's go. And so they racked my door, they cuffed me. And I said, where am I going? I didn't know it was going to happen that quick. He said, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
So one guard says, you're lucky. He says, you're going in the van. He says, most times you have to go in the prison wagon. And that's really uncomfortable. You're locked in these little thieves in them, little cages, you know.
The dog
And
cages.
yeah, so, but I was in a regular seat now, regular van. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. They dressed me out. They strip searched me, which is a humiliation tactic they got, as you know. And
Mhm. Very well.
they go through all that and give me coveralls that are way too big for me, and the loafers, and they put belly chains, leg irons on me, and escort me into the elevator, take me downstairs into the police garage. And that's where the van was waiting. A couple of other cops out there with their guns ready, and put me in the van, and we drive off, you know. And the whole way there, I'm trying to understand what the hell's going on here, you know. And and it's amazing how when you get into certain situations, you find yourself turning to God.
Yep.
And I found myself praying, I watched the sunrise, and for some reason, it just seemed so majestic to me. It was just so perfect. And I knew that it was going to go away. I just knew it. And
Little did
that's
you know
because
that it
my
was
life.
just starting to begin.
Oh yeah, the beginning of my descent into a darkness that most people don't know about, or come back from. Uh,
Do you
it's just
remember
that.
do you remember some of your thoughts on your way to prison? I mean, while you're
Oh
sitting
yeah,
on
it
that
was.
bus, I mean,
I
it's
I remember talking to some guys on the tier after court. I said, "Man, I'm going to prison." They said, I was wondering, can they change their minds? Can the judge say, "Hey, I was a little too harsh and call me back"? And so I said, "No, judge forgot about you."
yeah,
And I said, "I don't know. I mean, I hear stories, and one guy told me, as soon as you get there, you find the biggest, baddest dude. You go up and you punch him in the face, and let them know that you ain't playing." And some other guy said that he done time. He said, "Listen, don't pay attention to that dude. Don't do that because you'll get yourself killed."
right.
He said, "Just go up there and mind your own business. Carry yourself as a man. You don't tell, you don't involve yourself in other people's business. You do your time. You get a program and you stick to it."
Amen.
And
The
and
rules to survival.
yeah, so that's how I was in life anyway. I minded my business. I didn't tell on people. And that's not because of any code. I did tell on a kid when I stole something out of a store, a ring for a
Mhm.
girl that I had a crush on. And we both got caught. And the guy said, "Well, your buddy gave you up." I said, "No, man, he stole his own ring. I stole mine. I thought I gave it all up."
Yeah, they hit you with the 52 fake out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my dad comes and picks me up from juvenile hall. I guess they told him what happened. And I
Mhm.
get in the car and he slaps me in the face.
Bam.
And he said, "You stinking rat, fink, stool pig. Get in the back seat and don't say a word to me." And when we get home, you go to your room, you stay in your room. You eat you don't sit at the table with me.
Mm.
You stinking rat, fink. And I don't know, what the hell's a rat, fink, And I knew I did something wrong. I just didn't know what. Uh, the whole week, he told nobody in the house could talk to me, my sister or my mom.
Hmm.
But mom, when Papa's gone, she would give me a hug and tell me it'd be all right. And you know, that weekend, my father woke me up on a Saturday morning. He said, "Get dressed and get in the car." I said, "Okay." And I got dressed and got in the car. And he came out with a cooler and put it in the back in the trunk of the car. And we drove towards out of town, but we stopped at a store. And he got sodas and beers and some bags of chips and stuff like that. And we drove. He didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. And we got to a place up like in Lee's Canyon and just outside of Nevada, Las Vegas. And
Mm.
we got out. And he said, "Today you can drink beer, you can drink soda." And I thought it was a trick. I said, "I'll take a soda." He said, "You sure?" I said, "Can I really have a beer?" He said, "Yeah." And so I got a beer. And he said, "I want to tell you something." And he took me down the road. He said, "Listen, if you're going to be a doctor, you be the best doctor you can be. If you're going to be a police officer, you be a good police officer. And you help people, you solve crime, you be a good cop. Whatever you're going to do in life, if you're going to clean toilets, you own those toilets. You get them spotless. Take pride in whatever you do." And he says, I'm going to tell you this right now. Not that I have a great deal of experience, but I've had family. I know people that have dealt with it. He says, and I know a lot about this. He said, if you're going to be a criminal, I want you to know, let's look at that as a career. That's going to be one of the hardest things to be true to. And you must always be true to yourself. Never benefit yourself off the suffering and blood of another. If you get in trouble, you deal with it. You don't put it off on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you're going to have situations where you're going to have to take a position It's the right position, but it may turn others against you. Are you man enough to stand firm? I experienced that, and I found my answer to that. I was able to take a position, and it was the right position. I knew it. Somebody was getting bum beef because he wouldn't do something for a group of people, and they flagged him, man. You know, and I went to him and I said, "Hey," he said, "I know, man. I'm not locking up." I said, "They're gonna come at you." He said, "Yeah, well, let them come." And so I'm in Ely now, so I can't. I got to back his play. And I get a piece and I come out and I said, I'm gonna carry this with me until I said, I'm gonna ride with you, man. He said, no, you ain't. I said, you ain't got to say nothing else, man. Before it was over, there was some heavyweight independents that got wind of what was going down, and they came to me and said, hey, my yard name is Guido. Mm-hmm. And they said, hey, Guido, just to let you know, man, we're on point too. And I said, hey, man, all right. I didn't turn away because, they got a gang of people here and it's gonna kick off. But they backed off.
Is this when you got into the institution originally?
No, this is 1989 or 1990.
Well, but you were on the bus and you were talking to some guys on the bus.
Oh yeah, I sometimes, like I said, I stray. You got to pull me back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're riding there. We stopped one time at I think a McDonald's, and they got some hamburger. They didn't offer me nothing. I didn't say nothing, but I was thinking they could have given me a hamburger, but I was too caught up, and I was just, I wasn't as afraid as I should have been. For some reason, the fear seemed to have gone away until later in the day, like early afternoon. It was like a 7-hour drive, 6-hour drive.
Mm-hmm. It always is.
As we turn onto this road, and the guard says, we're about to pull up to your new home, and we pass it. And man, what I saw was this drab, it looked like some kind of castle-like thing in some Gothic movie with smoke, but it was real. And it put the fear of God in me because it was old. It was gray and brownstone bricks, it was old. It used to be a fort, and they turned it into a territorial prison.
What prison was that?
This is in Carson City. Yeah, Nevada State Prison in Carson City, Nevada. Mm-hmm. And it's a frightening looking place. And you pull up to the gates, and that they dropped me off to the prison guards, and they immediately took the belly chains and leg irons off, gave them back to the guards, and put me in handcuffs and took me down to walk a little bit. It was called Short Line. That's where the guards muster in their little offices. They have in-service training for new guards in a big house out there. And a lot of the convicts who were trustees, like minimum custody or whatever, they were out there on Short Line where I was walking now, being escorted. Those of us in the main yard couldn't be out there with these people.